Lovely. So what we're going to cover now is a bit of basic CPR. So during this PowerPoint, we're going to go through the differences in child and infant CPR, child CPR, moving on to infant, which is baby CPR, and then more than one rescue CPR. Then also adult CPR, adult if they're drowning, and what you do during CPR, and then lone rescuer. So, child and infant CPR, it is more common to have an airway problem because as they're quite young, it's less likely to be a cardiac problem like a heart attack or something like that. So you always give 5 breaths first. Hopefully that should restart their breathing cycle. So a child is classed up to the age of puberty. Also, a child, if the size of them, so obviously if they're an infant and they're quite big, you could potentially do child CPR. Infant is normally up to the first year, so until they're 1 year old. Many children do not receive CPR because people are quite scared of hurting them and things like that, but it's always important to do it as quick as you can so that then improves the chance of survival. So, does anyone know what they think they know about the sequence of CPR, infant or child?
32.
Yeah, 32, good. So like we said in the slide before, you always start with the 5 breaths. Chest compression's about the third of their body size. And you always use one hand if they're a child. If they're an infant or baby, you use 2 fingers. And if you're a lone rescuer, so anyone knows what they think a lone rescuer might be?
Lifeguard by himself.
Yeah, lifeguard by themselves. Anything else? No, that's right. So it could be a lifeguard by themselves, or just anyone in the street, or like an ancillary or anything like that by themselves. If it's on a child or anyone that requires 5 breaths first, you do CPR for a minute, then you'd go get help and get that defib, because the most important thing is we get the defib for them as quickly as we can. So what we're going to do now is we're going to watch a video. So we're going to do on the left we've got the child CPR, so we'll watch that first. Just have a quick watch, make notes if you'd like, and tell me what you think afterwards. Good, I'll stop it a bit earlier. So as it was not very high volume, we'll watch it one more time, but this time I'll give you some commentary while it's going on. So I'll go through the most important things. So he's arrived, he's checked for any danger, he's then checking for a response, no response. You then check breath for 5 seconds, and when you're checking you want to do a head tilt chin lift, which we'll practice later, so make sure you really open the airways, check for the breathing. They're not breathing, so it's called for an ambulance and defib, and it helps them to go away and come back. He then goes straight into his 5 breaths as it's a child. As you can see, he's not really inflating the chest, he's just getting it the right amount so he doesn't overinflate. Then after 5, he then places the one hand as it is a child and starts to perform compressions. So really in a minute you want to really be doing 120 compressions.
A bit slowly.
There you go, so he's done his 30, then he's just back into 2 breaths, and then you continue 30 to 2 until hopefully the child either comes back to it, or help arrives, and then the paramedics take over. Any questions about that? What we'll do is we'll watch the next one, and then eventually later in the session we'll do some practical, and then we'll get a bit more hands-on with it. But so this is the CPR flow chart. So for example, this is what the steps you take while you're doing CPR. So you check if they're responsive, which they're unresponsive, and they're obviously not breathing normally as you check for breathing. How long do you check for breathing for?
5 seconds.
10 seconds.
10 seconds, good.
It's an adult with 10, isn't it?
No, 10 for all it is, yeah, all for 10 check and breathing. After that you want to call for 999 and ask for an ambulance and defib. If they're drowning, or a child or an infant, you give them 5 rescue breaths, and obviously you go into your 30 compressions and 2 breaths, and you keep on going until the AED arrives and you turn that on and get that going. Okay, so what we'll do as well is, we'll give the infant the watch one as well. Good, so we'll stop it there. What do we see differently from the last one we watched?
2 fingers.
Yeah, 2 fingers, good. Anything
Secure in
else?
the head.
Yeah, secure in the head, yeah, spot on. So for a child, or for an infant, sorry, it's exactly the same. You still check for the response, even though they might not be able to talk back to you, they might be able to still respond, give a little movement because they can still hear you. And who remembers how far we can press down the body?
2/3.
2/3?
Length of the card, but not the same for
Not a
baby.
car, that's for adult. Or for child, almost 2/3, not 2/3, what is it? 1/3, good. So same principles there, it's making sure we check for danger, check for response, then breathe in. She then asks for an Emerson defib, and then she then starts CPR. So moving on, so to rescue CPR, because CPR is quite tiring, yes, there is 2 of you, it's recommended that you change every 2 minutes. The way you do that is to make sure you don't have any cross-contamination. You also have a pocket mask, so when you're swapping over, you pop that on top of their mouth and make sure there's no contamination from the patient to you. The most important thing is make sure there's a minimum delay changeover. That means really good communication to make sure we're changing over at the correct time. Here's another video. Good, so I'll explain it one more time and I'll go through it. So she's almost through her compressions, he's then swapped over to change over. As you can hear there, she's then counting down her last 10 compressions. Then after her 10 compressions, the gentleman's then taking over with the breaths, and then we'll take over CPR. As you can tell, it's a nice quick changeover, which means lack of issues down the line. Nice and swift means there's more chance of survival there, so that's really good. So moving on now to a bit more theory on drowning. What do we think drowning is? If you die, if you do pass away, if you do drown, what is the actual cause of drowning?
Water in the lungs.
Water in the lungs or yet?
No oxygen.
Asphyxiation.
Asphyxiation, good. So, the definition of drowning is death caused by asphyxiation following immersion in water. Do we know what asphyxiation is?
No idea.
Yeah, no.